There is a truth that heaven has declared, a truth too many have forgotten in the chaos of pain, in the loneliness of trials, sorrow of night seasons. A God collects every tear you shed. Not one has been wasted. Not one has fallen unnoticed. Psalm 50:60-8 doesn't speak in riddles. It speaks in revelation. You number my wanderings. Put my tears into your bottle. Are they not in your book? This is not symbolic. This is not metaphor. This is the testimony of a God who sees, a God who writes, and a God who remembers. Every drop that has fallen from your face in agony, in grief, in intercession, in the awareness of waiting, it has been captured by the Holy One. Heaven has a record. You may think no one noticed. You may believe your pain was invisible. But the courts of heaven were watching, and the one who sits upon the throne bent down to catch what the world ignored. You cried when the door closed. He wrote it down. Broke when betrayal pierced your heart. He captured the tear. You wept in silence when no one knew you were hurting. He was standing there beside you. He didn't just see the tears. He gathered them. He didn't just watch the pain. He recorded it. He didn't just hear the cry. He who remembered Elbit. The God who formed galaxies is the same God who treasures every droplet of sorrow you've ever released. This is not a God who is distant from suffering. He is the God who walks into it. He steps into the fire with you. He kneels beside you in the midnight hour. He writes the pain into his scroll because that pain has purpose. What you thought was an empty cry was actually a declaration in the spirit realm. Your anguish spoke volumes to the king, and your tears were not weakness. They were a weapon. Every time you kept going when your heart was breaking, the heavens took note. Every moment you chose faith when fear screamed louder, God recorded it. Every second you lifted your eyes when everything around you was collapsing, a page in your heavenly book was written. You are not forgotten. You are not unseen. You are not abandoned. The bottle of your tears is a memorial in the presence of God. It is a vessel of testimony, and the time is coming when it will be poured out, not in grief, but in glory. Because he who records your pain will also reward your perseverance. Psalm 165 says, those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Your weeping was not empty. It was seed. Your agony was not the end. It was the beginning of a breakthrough. Every tear has been a prayer. Every sob has been a petition, and your suffering has been sacred. The world may have mocked your breakdown, but heaven called it worship. They didn't see the price you paid, but the king did. They didn't feel the ache of your soul, but the Spirit groaned with you. When you didn't have words, your tears spoke louder than sermons, and heaven heard. Can you feel it? The urgency in the atmosphere. Can you sense that the time of divine reversal is drawing near? What has been stored is about to be poured. What has been written is about to be read aloud by angels. God has not forgotten you. You are not just a name in the crowd. You are a story being told in the throne room. Your tears are the ink in the pen of prophecy. Your sorrow has marked you as a warrior in the spirit. And now the books are being opened. Heaven is preparing to answer what your tears began. What you cried over in the dark, God is about to redeem in the light. What broke you is about to bless you. What crushed you is about to crown you. Because those who suffer with him shall also reign with him. The road of pain leads to the place of power. The bottle of tears becomes the river of oil, and your mourning will not last forever. Psalm 30 OG5 declares it, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. The morning is not far off. The cry that tore through your chest is about to become the song of deliverance that shakes the earth. Do not despise the tears you shed. Do not curse the moments you broke. God was closest in those hours. He was counting the drops. He was numbering the wounds. He was holding you even when you didn't feel him. Some of you thought you were abandoned when you were actually surrounded. You thought you were overlooked. But angels stood in formation around you. The pain was meaningless, but it was shaping you for an assignment that required crushing and tears. You were not being punished. You are. You are being prepared. And now heaven is thundering with the sound of fulfillment. The same God who collected your tears is the God who commands your destiny. The same hand that wrote your sorrow is the hand that will lift you into glory. A divine turnaround is coming. The bottle is full. The scroll is complete. And the Lord is saying, have seen, I've heard, I remember. Of your pain will not be ignored. Season of breaking will not be the last word. God is not just the author of your suffering. He is the finisher of your faith. Complete the work. He will redeem the story. And your tears will preach louder than any sermon. He is the God who numbers your wanderings, knowing you are. That means he knows where you are. That means your detour is part of his design. That means the path you took that felt forgotten was actually sacred ground. And the tears you wept there were holy water. He didn't lose sight of you into the shadows. He tracked every tear through the valley of despair. And now he is coming, like a flood, like a fire, like a faithful father, to restore what was stolen, to bind up the wounds, to raise you from ashes and place you in purpose. Cry if you must, but do not think it is wasted. Weep, but know that each drop is an echo in eternity. Heaven hears, God writes, and soon act, because not one tear has fallen in vain. The bottle is not for display. It is for remembrance. And your story is not ending in sorrow. It's just beginning in glory. Hold on. The God who collects tears is about to release victory. And the books of remembrance are about to become the scrolls of redemption. There are cries that no one hears. There are battles that rage behind closed doors. There are nights so long and heavy that even your breath feels like a burden. But listen, God saw you there. He was in the room when your strength gave way. He was beside you when your knees buckled under the weight of grief. And though you thought you were alone, though silence screamed louder than hope, the Almighty was near. Psalm 56:8 says, He keeps count of your sorrow. He gathers every tear in his bottle. He writes each one in his book. This is not just poetic language. This is divine truth. This is heaven's holy surveillance of your soul. The tear you thought was ignored has already triggered a response from the throne. Cried, and no words came. When pain tore through your spirit like lightning, and you collapsed in silence, that moment didn't vanish into nothing. It moved heaven. The Spirit hovered over you, and the Father leaned in. While man overlooked your anguish, the King took it as incense. Revelation 500:8 tells us that golden bowls stand before God, filled with incense, which are the prayers of the saints. But in your darkest hour, when words failed and strength disappeared, your tears became your prayer. They rose to heaven, not as weakness, but as weapons. You were not defeated. You were prophesying with your pain. This is why you must not despise your hidden cries. Are those nights when you trembled in silence, when no one returned the call, when no hand reached back, when you whispered into your pillow and soaked it in sorrow. Heaven recorded every drop. That bottle of tears is not ornamental. It is sacred. It is evidence. It is proof that your faith endured even when your flesh broke. The world didn't applaud it, but angels watched it. God did not turn his face. He drew closer. Psalm 314:18 declares, The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Your brokenness was not a barrier. It was an altar. And God responded. Right now, even now, something is stirring. Something is rising from the bowls. The time has come. What you birthed in your tears is being answered in the courts of heaven. What you suffered in silence is about to erupt in deliverance. There was a delay, but not a denial. There was silence, but not rejection. God did not ignore you. He stored your cry. And now the bowls are tipping. The weight of your worship, the cost of your weeping has reached a holy threshold. Heaven will not hold back what is due you. Cry has activated divine response. You didn't need to shout to be heard. You didn't need to gather a crowd to be validated. The whisper of a wounded soul is louder in heaven than the roar of religious noise. And you, yes, you, have been heard. Trembling voice became a trumpet in the spirit. Your breathless sobs became a sound that moved angel armies. You thought you were falling apart, falling into purpose. You thought you were perishing, but you were being positioned. You thought it was over, but God was beginning something sacred. There is a shift coming. There is a storm of glory about to break over your house. Not because you shouted louder than others, not because you stood in the spotlight, but because you cried when no one saw, when you wanted to run. You worshiped while bleeding, and heaven remembers. The fire is not coming to burn you. It's coming to mark you. It is not to destroy you. It's to reveal you. And the tears that soaked your floor are about to water the ground for miracles. There are assignments being released because of your hidden pain. There are doors being opened because of what you endured. There is a release of prophetic power tied to your perseverance. The enemy hoped your silence meant surrender. But your silence was sacred. Your tears were intercession. Your pain was permission for heaven to move. You were not abandoned. You were being hidden for a moment such as this. And now, the veil is lifting. The cup is overflowing. The book is being opened. God has not forgotten your cry. Remember that moment you fell to your knees and whispered, God, where are you? That moment became a seed. That seed became a scroll. That scroll is now being unsealed. And what you thought was a cry into emptiness was a cry that reverberated in the throne room. There is nothing wasted. Not one sob. Not one breath. Not 1 second of anguish. God kept all of it. Stored all of it. And now he will answer all of it. Your hidden cry has not only reached God, it has summoned his action. Angels are moving at his command. The tear that slid down your cheek in isolation has stirred a shaking in the spirit realm. Heaven is not passive. The bowls are tipping. The books are open. And the response of God is coming like fire, like wind, like flood. Not to destroy you, but to elevate you, to vindicate you, to show the world that those who cry out in secret will be rewarded in the open. Do not fear what comes next. You have already overcome more than most ever will. You have passed the test of hidden faith. You have endured the agony of unanswered questions. And now your story is becoming a scroll of victory. The suffering was real, but so is the reward. God is not unjust, not overlook what you endured. He has seen it, and he is now responding to it. Lift your eyes. Dry your face, trembling legs if you must. The answer is near. The storm is shifting. The silence is breaking. God is speaking your name. Thought was over is beginning again. And the sound of it all that started it all was not a sermon, not a song, not a shout, but a single tear that said, God, I trust you, even now. That cry has reached the heart of God. And that cry has moved heaven to act. There is a word stirring in the spirit, and it is heavy with glory and trembling with promise. Your season of tears is not the end of your story. God has seen the weeping. He has recorded the sorrow. He has collected the tears. And now he declares a divine exchange is coming. The time of mourning will give way to the time of dancing. The cry of grief will become the sound of victory. Psalm 12:65 echoes through the ages. Those sow in tears shall reap in joy. This is not a wish. This is not poetic. This is a prophetic decree from the throne of heaven. What was planted in your pain is about to erupt in joy. What was hidden in your anguish is about to bloom in the light. God is not a God who forgets. You are. He is not unjust to overlook what you suffered in silence. The bottle of your tears is not just a container. It is a vessel of testimony. And the time has come for that vessel to be poured out in power. Your tears have built an altar. Your sorrow has been sacred. Didn't just survive your pain, you sowed it. You wept, but you didn't curse God. You cried, but you kept believing. You broke down, but you stood back up. And while the world saw only weakness, heaven saw worship. The moments where you nearly gave up, where hope flickered like a dying candle, where all you had left was a whisper. Those were the moments that reached deepest into the heart of God. Your broken hallelujahs had come like a fragrance of heaven. The incense of your perseverance has filled the throne room. And now the reaping must come. This is the hour when what was torn will be healed. What was lost will be restored. What was crushed will be crowned, because God does not allow suffering to go unanswered. Isaiah 6:1-3 is your portion. To give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. This is not symbolic. This is the transaction of the kingdom. God never leaves his children in sorrow without preparing joy as their inheritance. If you wept in the dark, prepare to dance in the dawn. Fell in the wilderness, get ready to rise in the promised land. The pain was real, but so is the redemption. The tears were bitter, but the joy will be overflowing. There are doors opening now that were locked by sorrow. There are anointings being released now that were birthed in your weeping. You thought you were buried, but you were being planted. And now, what has been beneath the surface is about to break through. Your roots went deep in pain, but your branches will stretch wide in purpose. What the enemy tried to destroy with despair, God is turning into destiny. You are not a victim of your tears. You are a vessel of power shaped by them. The ground that drank your sorrow is now shaking under the weight of your breakthrough. The places where you bled will become the platforms where you bless others. The nights you thought would never end are about to give way to a dawn so bright it will erase the memory of the shadows. Your harvest is coming, and it will not be small, because God doesn't just restore. He multiplies. He takes what the locusts have eaten and returns it sevenfold. He takes the fragments of your heart and fashions them into a throne of testimony. There is a prophetic urgency in this moment. Let the enemy convince you that the tears were wasted. Do not let despair whisper that God has forgotten. The bottle is full. The book is written, and heaven is moving. What was stored in the season of weeping is being released in the season of reaping. And this reaping will be beyond what you imagine. Because God is not giving you back what you lost. He is giving you something greater. A fresh mantle, a deeper authority. The oil that flows from the crushing is richer than before. The joy that comes after weeping is louder, pure, and more lasting than what was lost. Can you feel it rising in your spirit? Can you hear the rustling in the heavens? The shift is near. You are standing at the edge of divine reversal. What you thought was the end was only a seed. The enemy thought he buried you, but God says, I planted you, and now the roots have reached deep enough. Now the soil has done its work. Now the time has come for what was hidden come forth in strength. You will not reap in weakness. You will reap in power. You will not emerge in silence. You will rise with a voice that shakes atmospheres. This is the testimony being written over your life. They wept, but they worshiped. They were crushed, but they carried the fire. Ears. And they reaped in joy. Every tear was a thread in the tapestry of your destiny. Every cry was a chord in the song of your breakthrough. And now that song will be sung by angels. Your journey has not been in vain. The pain was the passage. The fire was the formation. And now the joy will be the reward. The God who saw your first tear is the God who will crown your final victory. He who caught your sorrow will now release your rejoicing. You will stand in places you never dreamed. You will speak with boldness you never knew. You will carry an oil that can only come from pressing, from breaking, from weeping. The oil of the overcomer, the joy of the warrior, the strength of the survivor. This is not the end. It is the birthing. The birthing of joy that no man can take from you. The birthing of power that no demon can stop. The birthing of destiny that only God could orchestrate. And when you walk in that joy, when you stand in that victory, do not forget the tears, because they were the price, they were the seed, and they were holy. You will look back, not in bitterness, but in awe. You will say, He kept me, He saw me, He gathered every tear, and He turned it all into joy. So rise now, shake the dust off your feet, lift your head, dry your eyes. The season of sorrow has done its work. Tears have broken the ground. The seed has taken root, and heaven is shouting one word over your life. For joy is not only promised, it is here. And it comes dripping with the oil of every tear you ever shed in faith.